The first time I read Perks of Being a Wallflower, I was in high school. I didn't remember much about it when I heard that there was a movie coming out, but I knew that it had Emma Watson in it, so clearly it had to be good. I mean, come on, Emma Watson. So I decided I had to reread it. So this is my review of Perks of Being a Wallflower, the book, and then of course I had to go see the movie, so I will also be talking a bit about the movie. I just love so many things about this book. There's so many good quotes, there's so many like life lessons, and then it is also just heartbreaking. Charlie is just probably the most heartbreaking character I've ever read. Is it Chbosky? Is that how you say it? Chbosky? That's how I'm gonna say it. Chbosky really makes you connect with the character in a way that baffles me because I don't have many things in common with Charlie. I can't really relate to the stuff he's going through, but in some way, Chbosky makes you connect and he makes you understand what Charlie is going through and what he is having to feel. And there's a line that probably was the most relevant to me when I was in high school and even now, and when I read it the second time, it was the one that I really remembered from my first read, that when I hit it the second time I was like, oh my gosh, that is still perfect, that is still so relatable. And I'm not gonna find it and read what it exactly says, but it says something about Charlie's older sister is dating this boy and her parents get upset with her. She tells her parents, he's my whole world, and her mother says to her, do not say that about anybody in your life, not even me. And I love that. I love that Chbosky is saying, you have a life that is your own and it is not wrapped around a person, it is not wrapped around a thing. Lives are complex and lives are unique and have so many individual parts, and your life isn't made up of one person. There's so many more things that you can go out and experience and imagine when you aren't focused entirely on one area. So Charlie goes and meets his friends at school. He meets Sam, who I always pictured her with short hair, and then when I read the book the second time, it said towards the end that she had this long hair, and I always pictured her with short hair. So when I saw Emma in the movie, it just made sense to me that her hair was short. I don't know how I feel about Emma Watson. Rereading it and thinking about what Sam is like, I don't know how I feel about Emma as Sam, because Emma is so sweet and serene, and that's how I really picture her. And Sam is like really kind of punky to me and a lot more like hardcore and edgy, and I never really pictured Emma Watson as her. Patrick is such a funny character, and I feel like he really, almost more than Sam, really makes Patrick open up and be a more sociable person. And I love Ezra, what's-his-face. I'm so sorry to all of you better fans than me who actually know his last name without having to look it up. Ezra is perfect as Patrick, like 100% nailed it. I love the way Chbosky writes the story like it's letters and like it's a diary, but he still manages to make it like equal parts reflective and Charlie just sitting there talking about his feelings and talking about, you know, how he observes things and how he is a wallflower, and then it's equal parts descriptive of actual action. And I'm not just sitting there reading somebody's diary going like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I actually feel like I'm there experiencing, and that's why I feel like it translates so well into a movie. So I'm gonna move on to the movie. It opened in just Logan, the actor, oh my gosh, he is perfect, so good. I love him so much more as Charlie than I do as Percy Jackson. He is so cute and sad and heartbreaking, and his face, his eyes. So there are a couple of important scenes that I wasn't really sure why they were left out of the movie, but I mean, Chbosky directed this movie himself, guys. I mean, come on. He wrote the screenplay, wrote the book, wrote the screenplay, directed the movie, and then I'm like watching the credits at the end and he freaking wrote a song for the movie, like a song. So I can't really complain about anything that happened in the movie because the writer of the book did everything himself. Clearly, if he thought it was important, it was in the movie, and if he didn't think it was too important, it wasn't in the movie. So the first scene that I was confused about why they left it out was the scene where Charlie goes with his sister to the doctor. I just think it's interesting that they left that whole aspect out, but then they would leave the scene in where Charlie walks in and sees his sister getting hit. So they would leave that in, but they would take out the more intense stuff about her going to the doctor. At first I thought, well, maybe they're trying to make it, you know, less of an intense like R-rated film and more of like a PG-13 film, but then you had, you know, so many scenes with drugs and other violence in the movie, so I thought it was interesting that that was left out. The other scene, I was talking to my friend about this, I didn't really notice it as a huge scene until she brought it up with me, but at the end when Charlie gets to, you know, really hang out with his teacher and David says to Charlie, "You are special." And I feel like people haven't really told you that, but I want you to know that I think you are special and I cherish you. And I thought that was such an integral part of the book, and I was really kind of disappointed to see that left out of the movie. Although it's still hard for me to see Paul Rudd as anything other than like, you know, a gag movie guy. But he was really nice as David, and I really liked him. So I wish they had left in a scene where David said that to Charlie. And I feel like they really could have incorporated it. There was a scene where Charlie goes in and says to David, like, "You were a great English teacher, blah, blah, blah." And then David could have said something to him at that point, like, "I think you're so special." And I wish they had done that. But the end of the movie, gosh, the credits started rolling, and my friend and I just looked at each other, and both of us just tears. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful movie. I think it is the best movie adaptation of a book I have ever seen. And it's just gorgeous, gorgeous cinematography and gorgeous sets. And I love that they kept the 90s thing, and I love that it was so like punky and cool music, and the Rocky Horror stuff was hilarious. So many great things. I loved it. I hope that you read it and then go see the movie.